Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you want to be.
Hi friends, my name is Samia and I just started a YouTube channel. I've actually been thinking about this for a long time and I decided I'm on maternity leave right now. I've got some extra time, so I'm just gonna go for it. If you're someone who's been thinking about starting a YouTube channel for a while, then take this as your sign. Join me on this journey. I'll share tips that help me get started and hopefully they'll inspire you to get started as well. So before we get into it, I wanted to share some quick channel stats as I'm recording this. I'm at 29 subscribers. I've posted 6 videos so far over the last 6 weeks. I have 922 views and about 47 hours of watch time. So you can tell that this is truly my raw beginning, and I hope that you find this helpful. Tip number 1 is to start with why. Having a why really helps create greater focus as well as fulfillment, which is really important when you're creating a project like starting a YouTube channel that requires a lot of time and investment. If you need any more convincing on why having a why is so important, I highly recommend checking out Simon Sinek's Start With Why. Tip number 2 is to eliminate limiting beliefs or fears. I know, easier said than done. This is still something that I deal with every time I post a new video. But I think before I actually created the channel, my biggest limiting belief was the fact that there are already so many great YouTube creators that are putting out the same type of content that I would be putting out. So what makes me unique and valuable to a viewer? And then I read a quote that really resonated, which was, there are no unique messages, only unique messengers. So the kind of content that you're thinking about probably does already exist out there, but the authenticity that you bring to the table is what's going to set you apart and potentially land differently for someone who may not have connected to other content that's already out there. Tip 3 is to find your flow. Now, the way I think about flow is that sweet spot where when you're working on a task, you feel challenged enough that it's not boring, but it's not so difficult that you want to give up or you feel stressed or overwhelmed. So for me, creating videos had a lot of elements that really put me in the zone. For example, editing. It's something that I'm learning and it's a new skill, but it's not so difficult where I feel completely overwhelmed and want to give up. So it's really about finding those tasks and topics that put you in a state of flow and focusing on that. Now, of course, as with anything, you're going to have things that may not challenge you and seem boring that are going to be part of it. But as long as the challenging and exciting things outweigh potentially the boring and mundane things, then you're in a good spot. Tip 4 is to create a 90-day plan. So yes, that cheesy interview question, what does your first 90 days here look like? Apply that to this because it will help you plan and prepare a lot more. Even if you're just doing this experimentally to see if you even enjoy it, truly set it up like an experiment by having your success metrics, your goals, and the things that you're going to do to kind of get there. At the end of the 90 days, you can do an evaluation of whether this actually works for you or not, or how you need to pivot. Tip number 5 is all about equipment and setup. I felt like I needed a lot of fancy gadgets to create videos, but you really don't. So I'll share what equipment and software I've been using that's been really helpful. For my video, I'm literally just using my iPhone. For audio, I have a couple of different options. The easiest and best solution for me has actually been having a second iPhone, so I'll steal my partner's iPhone and having that sitting next to me and recording a voice memo, and the quality on that is actually pretty impressive. The other option I have is a mic that I just got on Amazon. I'll link it below. It's a cheaper alternative and it works pretty decently. I also recently just invested in a microphone called the Blue Yeti, and I find that that one is really great as well, especially for virtual podcasting. And then in terms of software, I have a lot of friends who will literally just use iMovie and that works for their purpose. I wanted to have a slightly more advanced editing software that's going to help me learn new skills and, figure out special effects, but I wasn't ready to commit to a fully paid platform. So I'm currently using DaVinci Resolve. They have a free version and that's been just great for my current purpose. And I'm learning a lot in there. So highly recommend checking that out. And then the last tool that I use a lot is Canva. And I've been using that for really all my design needs, but for YouTube specifically, I've been using it to create thumbnails or some transitions and intros. So again, you really don't need a lot to get started. You can pretty much start with your iPhone and you're good to go. And if you feel that this is something that you're getting more serious about, then you can think about investing in fancier equipment. Last tip is to just commit and get started. Honestly, there's no better time and there's no better reason to just go for it. If it's something you've been thinking about for a while, just do it and have fun. I do have some bonus tips for my fellow mamas because investing in a passion project like this does require a little bit more planning on our part. So tip number 1 is to divide up your tasks into smaller chunks. So instead of taking on the entire task of creating a video, think about it in smaller pieces. So what are the different elements that are going to go into that? Whether it's coming up with an idea for a video, creating the script or key points for that video, actually sitting down and filming it, doing basic editing, doing more advanced editing, creating a thumbnail. Think about all of those tasks individually, because throughout our day, we don't necessarily get a big chunk of time, but we do get small pockets of time where our baby's napping or they're having some individual playtime. And we can use those pockets of time to achieve these tasks. And that'll help us really stay productive instead of feeling overwhelmed with everything that's going to be required to film a whole video and post a whole video. Tip number 2 is to automate and replicate. Creating templates for things that you can reuse and repurpose will not only save you a lot of time that you probably don't have, but will also create a brand consistency throughout your content. Tip number 3 is have backup videos ready to go. Again, our days may not always go according to plan. Usually they don't go according to plan. So having some backup videos that you can pull out in case you miss filming or posting a video that you had originally planned will help you stay on track and help you stay committed. And last but not least, give yourself grace. Because as much as you can do to kind of stay on track, there will be times when you may miss a video that you were planning to post, and that's okay. We are moms, we're busy. Just don't let that derail and demotivate you, and just get back on track next week. So those are my tips. And again, if you're someone who's been thinking about this for a while, then I hope you found these helpful and I've inspired you to join me on this journey as well. Thank you.
Find out what you wanna be.